Stop me if you've heard this one before. Ole Miss hit home runs today. And oh yeah, they beat Missouri State 11-6. This is the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. Let's overreact to it.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, the most watched Ole Miss podcast out there. I'm your host, Stephen Willis, a 10-year veteran member of the national media with Yahoo Sports and a former Ole Miss staff member as well. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network now. It's the number one sports podcast network in America. That's all because of you taking in content like this. Thank you very much for that. On today's show, we're talking about today's power surge by Austin Fawley and Judd Utermark. And my favorite dirtbag was doing dirtbag things. We'll talk about that. Hunter Elliott was a little bit off tonight, but it didn't matter very much as Ole Miss was able to win over Missouri State 11-6. All of this and more on today's Locked On Ole Miss podcast. Remember, we're free and available on all of the podcast apps and on YouTube. And a special hello to our insiders and everydayers who make the show what it is, your team every day. And have your cake and drink it too. Birthday cake flavor is back. No fork needed. Vanilla-y, fake, cakey flavor, caffeinated kick, and no sugar. It's party time. Order now at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. Ole Miss won 11-6 tonight over the Missouri State Bears. This is, make no mistake, the best team that Ole Miss has played this season. They advanced to 6-0 on the year, and they did it on a night where Hunter Elliott wasn't at his best. He ended up walking, I think, 6 batters over 4 1/3 innings. And he just really overall was not a very good performer tonight. Now, there were timely outs. There was a lot of runners that were left on base by Missouri State, and that kind of helped Ole Miss in that. But Hunter Elliott gave up 4 hits, 5 runs. 4 of those runs are earned, 6 walks. He did strike out 5. He did not have his best game. He also, by the way, gave up a home run, but I don't blame him for the home run because the pitch was hit about that high off the ground. It wasn't necessarily like he grooved it down the middle. The guy just kind of made contact above the letters and was able to hit it out. The reason that Ole Miss was able to win this game going away was in the offense. And specifically the first 5 batters of the lineup, all 5 of them ended up with multiple hits. Every one of them got 2 hits. Judd Utermark, 2 home runs in the game for the second straight game. I think that puts him at like 5 on the year, maybe 6. He is off to a pretty hot start as it goes. He's the type guy that is going to go and make it to the major leagues and hit against left-handed pitching and just play for 15 years being Andy Ibanez. That's what he's going to be, the pinch hit guy against a left-handed reliever. And that's where he's going to make his money moving forward, I do believe. Tristan Becerra, Colin Reuter, Will Furnace, Dom Decker all had multiple hits. Decker had a double. Reuter had a double as well. That was a nice one that got to the wall, just barely skipped before it hit. RBI-wise, Utermark had 3. Becerra had 1, Reuter had 3, and of course, Austin Fawley had 4 as well. Strikeout-wise, Ole Miss struck out 13 times in this game. When you want to pick nits of what's going on, that is a good place to start. Either that or 9 bases on balls. We talk about the pitching staff needs to be disciplined not to walk people, and the batters need to not strike out. These are not super powered arms that they're going to face in the SEC. Now, they still threw over 90 miles an hour, and they are still very good. Missouri State's a Conference USA school. But when you look at what you're going to see, that is still a step above what you're seeing from Missouri State. Now, I will say they can hit the ball really well, as you can expect. Well, at least one school in the state of Missouri takes baseball at least a little bit seriously. So that is interesting as well. Now, in the first inning, Ole Miss had 5 runs in the first inning, 4 of them courtesy of the Austin Fawley grand slam. But the first 4 base runners got on base, led by Dom Decker, who I think he started out with a double for the game, and then it was just walk and everything. All of a sudden, it's kept going around. Of course, once you got out of the top 5 hitters into the bottom part, it became problematic. Fawley hit the grand slam, cleared the bases. But at that point, it was 5-1, and the game was essentially over. Especially when you have Hunter Elliott on the mound, even when he doesn't have his best stuff, 5 runs should be enough to win the game when Hunter Elliott is pitching. When you look at Hudson Calhoun, who got the win, he pitched 3 1/3 in this game. He walked only 2. He did have 4 strikeouts, and he was the one that kind of calmed things down after the erratic start at the beginning. And then Landon Waters got I guess he came in for the last 3 outs. He didn't necessarily get a save because it wasn't a save type situation. Ole Miss as a team played pretty well. Tristan Becerra had a stolen base, and I think Will Furness would have if it wasn't a wild pitch. He was actually going, and he was going to make it, I think. But due to the fact that it was a wild pitch, he ended up not getting a stolen base for that. 2 batters for Ole Miss were hit by pitches, and Ole Miss ended up with 11 hits for the game. They walked a grand total of 6 times. So it's 17 base runners for Ole Miss. Ole Miss did a good job of getting people across the plate when they did that, mainly because of the long ball. When you consider that 7 of the 11 runs were directly the result of hitting the long ball, that kind of lets you know what's going on. The runs that got manufactured, there was the Colin Reuter hit, but that was about it as well. All right, when we come back, we will continue to talk about tomorrow's game, what we want to see different as Ole Miss goes for their 7th consecutive win and series win. That's all on the table in tomorrow's game. This is the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. All right, we're looking at the 5-hour energy draft, right? We're looking at every aspect of it so we can let you know which tasty flavors are the best and which you might just find to be sleepers as well. The board is set. The flavors are ready, and only one is going to take the top spot. 5-hour energy has a variety of flavors, something for everyone. I'm going to take cherry. Cherry is the artificial flavor that I'm going to draft with the number 1 pick. You know, it's just the most versatile flavor. I'm a huge guy that goes out. That cherry artificial flavor, it's amazing. That's just me. But there's other stuff that is really good as well. I mean, they have watermelon, strawberry, and all that. If you like the basic flavors, you can get a little bit crazy with confetti craze or birthday cake, or maybe you try out for my sleeper pick, pomegranate. A little bit of a zesty taste to everything as well. That I kind of like that a bunch. So I'm drafting cherry number 1. Of course, you can always fall back to a grape flavor, which is one of the originals, one of the OG flavors with 5-hour energy as well. So find your new flavor of 5-hour energy shots today, available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. Ever want to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into a reality with the NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll be automatically entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right. Flights, tickets, the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock it in. I love futures this time of year, whether it's picking a team to win the championship or grab a conference title. Add that extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch. And now, not only can you pick cash when you win, but you can also send yourself to the NBA Finals. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use the profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
I'm Clea Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. It was a heavyweight showdown between number 3 South Carolina and number 7 LSU, and the Gamecocks rose to the occasion. South Carolina secured a hard-fought 79-72 victory to stay atop the SEC standings, using a balanced offensive attack to outlast the Tigers. Tessa Johnson led the way with 21 points, while Raven Johnson added 19. Medina Okot dominated the paint with a double-double, finishing with 12 points and 17 rebounds, while Joyce Edwards chipped in 10 points to round out the scoring. With the statement win, the Gamecocks now turn their attention to a road matchup at number 23 Alabama on Thursday. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
All right. Do us a favor, like, subscribe, and comment on the video. Subscribe to the podcast on whichever audio podcast you're listening to and give a 5-star review. It costs nothing, but it keeps all of this free. In the last segment of the show, we're going to take your comments, your questions, and what's going on. We'll see exactly what's going on in segment 3. Thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network in America. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Ole Miss with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and a whole lot more just for $5 or $50 per year. Or go to lockedonolemess.supercast.com or check out the link down in the show notes to learn more. All right. We're going to get into the comment section. Remember, if you're commenting in there, please, the rule is you have to put where you're commenting from. I want to shout that out as well. Ole Miss won the game 11-6 over Missouri State in a game that, thanks to an Austin Fawley grand slam in the first inning, it was never really in doubt, even though Missouri State, they showed they could hit the ball. They showed they could be kind of impressive, but the game wasn't necessarily in doubt. All right. So let's go into the list. James McDonald says, hotty toddy in the chat, and says, come to the sip as well. Listen, I think that Ole Miss fans can be excited about this baseball team. Like 6 games in, there's not a huge sample size of what's going on. But when the pitching hasn't been there, the hitting has picked them up. When the hitting hasn't exactly been there, the pitching has picked them up. And that's the sign of a good team. And that's the reason they're 6-0 at the moment. James Wade Evans says our 2 through 7 hitters could have double-digit bombs. Yeah, there's some guys, some muscle guys. There's some slow pitch softball type guys. You know, we make fun of the meme that Coach O put out about Lane Kiffin striking out in slow pitch softball, but there's some guys that just muscle the ball from time to time. And I think that Becerra and Utermark and Furness, now Furness, he is turning into a line drive hitter for whatever reason. He's not getting a lot of lift on the ball. And, you know, everybody that follows my show knows that I'm a Detroit Tigers fan, which means I follow Riley Green, who is a very good young player. The problem with Riley Green is he hits the ball into the ground. His ground ball rate is way too unacceptable. You have to try lift. So we looked last season, Riley Green was taking an uppercut swing. You know, we were always taught growing up, swing level, swing level. He's going uppercut, just trying to hit the underside of the baseball. Maybe Will Furness needs to look that way. I mean, he is being consistent as a line drive hitter, but I don't notice the power that, I don't know, he has been known for from time to time. Maybe it will come. Maybe as the weather warms up, he will be all right. But right now I see, honestly, Will Furness playing like a normal standard number 2 hitter in the lineup, even over Judd Utermark, than being a 3 hitter. It's interesting. Chance Wiener, let's see, says, what an electric offense. Yes, it's fantastic. And also he said it's Chase, not Chance. Sorry, Chase. I apologize for that as well. I've got older eyes and it's difficult for me to see at the screen. It's very small writing for me reading this. I'm actually just lucky that I can read it at all. Let's see. Wildman Crazy Guy says, I've heard the LSU guys go for the fruitiest flavors. Nice. See what you went there. Let's see. I don't know. Whereas you look at Steven's setup and instantly think fan. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of what I'm going for. You know, when you see the autographs and the helmets and things like that, that's what I'm trying to do here. So yes, it is all about fandom. It is all about the perspective of the fan. And I mean, it's branded in Locked On Ole Miss. It's in the title. If you were expecting something else, that's kind of a weird thing. So we'll see exactly how that goes tomorrow. Cade Townsend needs to show up as a pitching. Missouri State can hit the ball. The power and the splitter, is it a chance that he could just shut them down with the fact that they've gone with a slower Hunter Elliott over to a Cade Townsend? And then Liberty on Sunday is just the power lefty. It'll be interesting to see exactly what it's like. And right here, we got James Wade Evers. Whose game do you like more, Dom Decker or Jonte Cook? I don't know because they're different. Dom Decker is the way that people played baseball when I was younger. That's the way the game was back when it was the number one sport in America. People hustling all over, just the true dirtbag thing. I love that. I will never apologize for that. I'm not a long ball fan. I'm the type person that would have been a fan of the small ball type stuff, the John McGraw stuff back in the day, and not the Babe Ruth stuff, if that makes sense. So in the early days of baseball, that's how I would have figured it out. So I really like Dom Decker, just as it's an aesthetically pleasing way to watch baseball to me. Now, Jonte Cook, who's a football player, for anybody that doesn't know, I've covered the Under Armour All-American game for essentially the last half decade or so. Two players made me just have wow moments when I was at practice of what was going on. One, Zach Branch, the guy that's at Georgia. Everybody saw that. Electric player. The other was Jonte Cook. And the problem with Jonte Cook is he had a problem with maturity when he was in bigger cities. He had problems in Austin, Texas. He had problems in Seattle, Washington. He didn't have any problems in Syracuse, New York. And I don't think he's going to have any problems in Oxford, Mississippi, which means that electric player that you saw in the Under Armour game can come out. I think that Jonte Cook can have an impact on the Ole Miss team in the same way as to what Elijah Moore did. I think very highly of Jonte Cook's game. And I love slot receivers. That one is kind of the dirtbag equivalent. So I do give him credit for bringing that up because they are very niche things that I really, really enjoy. But right now, I like Dom Decker. I like the fact that at the end of the game, his uniform is filthy. I like the fact that he hits the ball to all fields. I like the fact that he stretches singles into doubles. I like that he makes movement happen. Baseball has become so static to where it just becomes station to station waiting for the big hit. When the reality is in college baseball, if you force the other team into actions, they're going to make more mistakes just on the fact of who they are and the fact that it's college baseball. Dom Decker moves people around, forces them to make plays, forces the game of baseball to be played. And I will never not respect that. Dom Decker is one of my favorite players, period. I've said it before. If Dom Decker has no fans, that means that I am dead. Because I just respect the way he plays the game so much. All right, so tomorrow, Ole Miss versus Missouri State. The offense showing out, like you saw, a Friday starter tonight. So theoretically, the Saturday starter for Missouri State's not quite going to be the same. I was worried about the jump to Missouri State from Jackson State, but luckily Jackson State had some harder throwers in the game as well. So we will see exactly how that goes. And thanks for tuning in today to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. We're going to continue to talk Ole Miss baseball all weekend long. We'll be live streaming 30 minutes after the game. It was a little bit late today because I accidentally deleted a YouTube stream that kind of screwed everything up. So I do apologize for that, but it was on me. I kind of messed up. So we're on all the social channels, so check that out. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Ole Miss ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonolemmiss.supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we're going to send you on over to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel, and on audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked On College Football or Locked On SEC. Well worth your time. Tomorrow, game 2, Ole Miss goes for the series, goes for 7-0 against the Missouri State Bears. We will talk to you then. Howdy toddy, everybody.